So in any way, Tibetan Buddhism is pure tradition of Nalanda tradition. Now, for example, including myself in these sort of scholars, we carry a sort of same sort of pattern, our study. My own case, around 6-7 years old, I already started learning those root texts wrote by Nalanda master by heart. At that time, I have no interest to learning, but my tutor always keep whips, So at that time, myself and my elder brother, we carry study together. So my tutor kept 2 whips, one yellow whip, one ordinary whip. So suppose that yellow whip for Holy Dalai Lama. So that whip, yellow, because they use for holy student, so that whip also should be holy whip. So yellow color. But fortunately, I never used to get that whip's blessing. But if really get that blessing from that whip, I don't think any holy pain. I think same pain. So next few years, I study out of fear, not volunteer. But in any way, that's one example. You see, we study all major important text, root text, learn by heart. Then gradually, commentaries, word by word explanation. And not only that, debate, dialectical debate. So that brings our understanding precisely. So that's, I think, real advantage of the system which introduced by that great Nalanda master. Till today, that tradition kept alive. Now, about explanation about Tibetan Buddha Dharma. I usually divide it 3 parts. Buddhist science, Buddhist concept or Buddhist philosophy, then Buddhist religion. 3 parts. Now here differences with other tradition is Buddhism come from Buddha Shakyamuni. Buddha Shakyamuni originally just like us, ordinary sentient being. Then with help of other teacher who again gain some experience, and through that way, then from his ordinary level, and gradually transform a deeper or higher spiritual experience. They finally become God or Buddha, enlightened. So Buddhism start from ordinary level, finally become Buddha. The theistic religions come from God to human being. The Buddhism from human level start to become Buddha. So therefore, in order to tackle ordinary human mind, we have to know about mental function. Today's reality of mind. So that's Buddhist science. What is this different mind? A lot of different categories and different categories of emotion. And sensory level and mental level, they are also conceptual and non-conceptual. And within mind, the mental mind, the mental state, the awakened state, mental state during dream time, mental state, deep sleep without dream, further mental state at the time of faint. So, precise sort of description. Different minds, different categories. So, therefore, now modern science, as I mentioned earlier, now begin to pay some attention about our inner world. Now some scientists, like late Francisco Varela, and also now Richard Davidson. Now these scientists now showing their interest about information come from Buddhism about mind or emotion, and also the method or technique to deal with these emotions. So already in this country, some scientists, some institution already carry some sort of program as an experiment. There are some selected or some student or some ordinary people getting some session, meditation, compassionate meditation of compassion, few weeks, each day, 1 hour, like that. So then they tested blood pressure, the stress, all these, and also sharpness of mind. They found differences before and after the meditation of compassion. So already now, scientific experiment already carrying. And also some hospital, you see, carrying some sort of method of meditation. And some prisoners also, some prisons carrying some meditation. One famous Indian Tihar jail in Delhi. I know the person, one lady who introduced some meditation in jail. How she found positive result, positive effect. Like that. So these are not a religion, simply they explore of potential of certain mind. Simply like that. So that's Buddhist science. Now Buddhist concept or Buddhist philosophy. Here, the Buddhist science shows everything interconnected, interrelated. One particular emotion related with physical, related with different part of emotion, and also different part of external factors, external objects. So, from the philosophical sort of, terminology, that reality called interdependency.
Dependent origination.
Or dependent origination. Now that's the Sanskrit word patitasamupant. So dependent and origination. So that's both Sanskrit, Pali, both is use that terminology. That's, I think, unique. Only Buddhism, no other tradition. Even the Jain tradition, not using that. So my scientist friend, he found this term, the dependent origination. One time I asked him, in the scientist vocabulary, in the science vocabulary, whether this sort of term there or not. He said no. But he found he often used that word. Then he told me, this terminology come from Buddhism. And this terminology enter to science world, now found some seed. That is one. So you see, these terms really bring holistic view. Things are not black and white. Things are relative. Things are interdependent for many factors. I think that concept opens our view more holistic. One event, positive or negative, one event in reality depend on or connected with many other factors. So when we deal that, we have to take consideration all other factors. Many world disaster, the political disaster, including warfare, including Iraq war, because due to lack of holistic picture. Just pick up like Saddam Hussein, or everything blame on him. In reality, not that simple. Reality, much sort of, much connected. So therefore, of course, I have great sort of respect and admiration, and I love President Bush. Because he's very frank, he's very straightforward. From at once, you see, we become very close friends. But some of his policy, inspired his sort of sincere motivation and right goal, but method become unrealistic because the lack of understand about the reality. So in order to know the thing, we have to see or look from various angles. That is very important. Just one dimension, you cannot see the reality. In order to see the reality, you have to look from 3 dimensions or 4 dimensions or 6 dimensions. So, in order to look from various dimensions, you need a concept or things are interrelated, interconnected, interdependent. Then immediately, or something happened, then the reaction immediately, what cause, what other factor, like that. It's very, very helpful. In the economic field, or political field, international relations, in every field. And health also. So, So I have a strong sort of view. This concept of interdependency, come from Buddhism, but that can apply to every field. Even those, people who enter religion, if they have this sort of holistic view, then their activities against the religion becoming more effective. So the holistic view is very, very essential. That's, I think, that concept is one of the unique thing of Buddhism. And then particularly the Nalanda masters like Nagarjuna, the Arya Sangha, and all these great masters of Nalanda, they really exposed self-self.
They really clarified. They clarified this concept so much.
So those Kalmyk people, mainly Buddhist, please study more these texts. So it can be very useful. Otherwise, we just so through that way, the concept of salvation, moksha, then come, and Buddhahood also. So, to Buddhist, our final destination is Buddhahood. Everyone have Buddha nature. So, on the basis of Buddha nature, through training, our mind can become enlightened mind. So, knowing these things, then Buddhist religion, Buddhist ritual, that's useful. Otherwise, like Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, without knowing the real Buddhist structure of Buddha Dharma, there's not much use. So sometimes I jokingly used to telling Tibetans, when we recite Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, then when you little bit hurry, then say Om Mani, 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 Mani. So that sounds, you see, that sound looks like money, 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 like that. So that's, I think, quite honest. We ourselves is thinking importance of money. So express money, 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 money is good. Sometimes we pretend something very holy, but in deep inside, thinking only money. Like that. So Buddhist science, Buddhist ritual, Buddhist practice, Buddhist religion, based on Buddhist concept. Buddhist concept, like true truth, Four Noble Truths, these based on Buddhist science. So we need thorough knowledge about these things. So knowledge through prayer, impossible. Knowledge by study.
So there are three kinds of wisdoms, or there are three kinds of learning. Learning or wisdom derived first through studying, and second through reflection, and third through serious meditation.
So, now conclusion. Buddhism, basically two things. Buddhist concept or philosophy, Buddhist, practice. Buddhist view, as I mentioned earlier, the interdependency. Buddhist conduct or Buddhist practice is non-violence. Non-violence based on compassion. So practice of compassion, practice of non-violence, two things. If you can serve, help other as much as you can. If you cannot, at least restrain harming other. That's the essence of Buddha Dharma. So, finished my talk. Now some questions. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now some questions.
There are some questions which arrived here. One, as Kalmyks, we are taught from young age to recite Chenri 6 mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. I would be grateful if you could explain the meaning of this mantra as well as the potential benefits of reciting it.
There is Om Mani Padme Hum. 6 syllables. Om means, again, 3 letters are Umma. These 3 letters symbolize body, speech, mind. So Om symbolizes body, speech, mind. There are 2 kinds, impure body, speech, mind and pure body, speech, mind. Now, in order to transform impure body, speech, mind into pure body, speech, mind, that's Buddha's body, mind, speech. Now the method, through training, you can purify. So, Mani Padme, Mani Padme, 4 letters, 4 syllables. Mani means jewel in Sanskrit word. So here jewel means compassion, karuna, compassion, altruism. That's money. Padme means lotus. This symbolizes wisdom or awareness. So altruism and awareness of the reality, these 2 things are real method to purify or to transform our body, speech, mind. Hum, the 6 syllables, means Mishiva.
Inseparability of the two sides of the practice, the wisdom side and the altruistic intention.
So these 2 things, altruism and wisdom, must combine. That's the meaning of Hum. So like that. Om Mani. So while we recite Om Mani Padme Hum, we must remember altruism and interdependency, that wisdom. That's the proper way of reciting Om Mani Padme Hum. Now next question.
Do you see any hope for change in the Chinese government attitude towards Tibet if the Chinese people are granted more freedom?
There's no doubt. The one difficult thing is there is heavy censorship in China. So people do not know the reality. That's the problem. Even if those Chinese who study in America or in Europe, but still many of these Chinese, from their kindergarten up to their university level, You see, they, through propaganda, sort of, propaganda material, so they somehow fixed in their mind. That's a problem. So, you see, we need education, awareness about the reality. China, people's problem, China, is changing. Nowadays, China, compare 20, 30, 40 years ago, much changed. I think one big change is today, socialist, communist country no longer as a socialist, but rather capitalist. So, communist, capitalist. Quite strange. Like that. So, China is changing. More contact with outside world. And also,
the communication,
no.
internet, and
Internet, all these things really it makes differences. But heavy censorship in Tibet, like that. Or in China, like that. So the Chinese, all like that. Now, next question.
In your view, is it possible for one person to have more than one religion? For instance, can one be a Buddhist and a Christian at the same time? Or can one be a Buddhist and still believe in the divine power of a supreme being such as God?
At the initial stage, you can be both Buddhist, Christian. Then eventually, more sort of specialist. Then, difficult. In early 60s, one Tibetan family, then 1959, escaped. Same year. Then the husband, one Tibetan government official, he passed away. Then the wife, with young children, remained. Very difficulties, many difficulties. So at that time, our Christian organization, many Christian brothers and sisters really come to help us at that time, feeding us and provide medical as well as education. Immense help. So this family also then received help from some Christian missionaries. So not only taking care, education, her children, but also some other sort of help. So then she became Christian. So in 60, one day she came to see me and explained about her story, her sad stories. And then she told me, for this life, she is Christian. Next life, she will be Buddhist. So what is that? Or Buddhist or Christian? I don't know. And then also, you see, my Christian friend, very sincere sort of Christian, a monk, now no longer with us. Very sad. He always showing genuine concern about Tibet, and also he always is eager to learn some of Buddhist different ideas. Then practice of compassion, forgiveness, these common, so no problem. But then occasionally he also, you see, showing interest about Buddhist concept of relativity, Buddhist concept of no absolute. Then I told him, now this is not your business. This is Buddhist business. So don't mix these things. I told him. So then, about the relative theory, then difficult to accept absolute sort of creator. If you believe, if you feel absolute creator is more effective to you, then don't think about some Buddhist sort of different sort of theory. As far as a common practice is concerned, no problem. Learning from each other. Like that. Then next question. So already my Christian friend was a practice or adopt some Buddhist technique about forgiveness, about compassion. That's absolutely all right. And also a Buddhist adopt some Christian practice. Also very useful, like that.
For several decades now, Your Holiness has been interested in looking at the intersections between science and religion. How do you see the dialogue between scientists and Buddhist practitioners developing in the coming years? What does science have to yet to learn from Buddhism, and what does Buddhism have yet to learn from science?
I think I briefly already mentioned. Since you see Buddhist science, not Buddhism as a whole, our dialogue with scientists, we are not talking about next life. We are not talking about Buddhahood. We're simply talking about emotions or mind or particles and these things. So the Buddhist science, I think highly developed about inner science or science of mind. But as far as the physical, material, particle science, external matter is concerned, or Western science, much advanced. So there, we Buddhists learn many useful things. And to the scientist, Buddhist experience or Buddhist knowledge about mind, about emotion, they find useful. So now last more than 20 years, practically every year, dialogue, meeting, scientist and Buddhist. So among the scientists also now growing interest. To the Buddhist, initially just my own, out of curiosity, these dialogues started. But now it becomes something very useful. Therefore, now the selected Tibetan Buddhist monk, about 50, now last 6 years, already getting study or learning modern science. Now we are carrying some research now, Emory University in Atlanta. We have some project, making curriculum for study science in Buddhist monasteries in India. We already have that kind of work.
Curriculum.
Already is a curriculum roughly now already finalized, like that. So we are now eventually introduce in monastic institution science as a subject to study. So now it is more or less institutionalized. So it is good. It is healthy sign. Very good. Very useful. Next question.
His Holiness the Dalai Lama considers his religion as kindness. Those who do not know much about Buddhism, like me, might think that kindness seems to require attachments to people to whom you give kindness. Please explain how kindness and Buddhist non-attachment can coexist.
Attachment, as I mentioned before, unbiased, limited compassion. That attachment goes together. Now, that kind of attachment is the obstacle of infinite altruism or infinite compassion. But infinite compassion itself, there is another kind of attachment, I think, roughly speaking. Although I don't know the precise meaning or definition of the meaning of attachment. So I think we can say there are, I think, within the attachment, some limited and involve, from the Buddhist viewpoint, involvement of ignorance. Another infinite altruism, there are very dear or very close feeling there. That one type of attachment, we can say, that kind of attachment is positive, no influence of ignorance. But because that kind of attachment developed through training, through reasoning. So, I think we can look the word attachment or detach broadly. Some limited bias, that shutkasuda, that will be obstacle of that greater attachment or unbiased compassion, like that. So no contradictory. Then last question.
Do you believe that the economic development of Tibet and the preservation of Tibetan Buddhist heritage and culture are compatible?
No, I don't think. No. The Buddhist culture, Tibetan culture, usually I call Buddhist culture. So, in Buddhism,
so there, in Buddhism, there is what is known as the four means to bring about the happiness or joy.
Four is ultimate benefit. That's salvation. For that, cause is religion, dharma. Then immediate sort of a goal is worldly pleasure.
Worldly happiness.
Worldly happiness. For that cause is money. It's mentioned like that. Actually, when I first visited Mongolia, 1979, as I mentioned earlier, then socialist country or communist country, I discussed with abbot of the Mongolian monastery about the relations between communism and Buddhism. Then he mentioned these four things. It is common. So economic development is part of Buddhist practice. So economic development without inner value, then that's extreme or radical. That's not good. But without losing inner value or compassion, these things, or human sense of responsibility, sense of global responsibility, then promoting economic condition is perfectly right and should be. Now finished. Thank you.